All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION this hour, where the Biden administration, it appears, is racing against time to try and handle an influx of children who are trying to cross over the US-Mexico border. Addressing the crisis, President Joe Biden has urged the migrants not to come to the United States. Now, criticism mounted over a surge in the number of people who are presently arriving at the southern border with Mexico. This included thousands of unaccompanied children. In an interview with one of the media houses within the United States, Joe Biden addressed this issue. And he told the migrants, don't leave your town or city or community, pointing out that there had been a similar surge in 2019 and 2020 as well. Now, Biden also shrugged off claims that his dismantling of former President Donald Trump's tough stance had encouraged this surge in the number of migrants who are knocking on the gates of the United States. Now, Biden spoke just a day after the top Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy visited the border in Texas with fellow Republican lawmakers and accused Biden of creating the crisis. Now, the United States, remember, has been witnessing the biggest surge in the number of migrants at its southwestern border in over almost 20 years. Republican critics have said that Biden's policies have caused a sharp increase in the number of migrants who are seeking to cross over into the United States. Now, the U.S. head of Homeland Security has also defended the administration's immigration policies. Alejandro Mayorkas acknowledged the United States was on pace to encounter more migrants at the border than at any time in the last 2 decades. The Mayorkas also said that the number of attempted border crossings by people from Central America and Mexico had steadily increased since April 2020, and most single adults and families are being turned away.
Our campaign has had a very good night. We've moved closer to securing the Democratic Party's nomination for president. And we're doing it by building a broad coalition that we need to win in November.
Now, describing the situation at the border, Mayorkas said that when a child is ripped out of the hands of his parents to deter future migration, that is a humanitarian crisis. And that's Trump administration employed as a tool of deterrence. Now, on his very first day in office, Biden had scrapped several of Donald Trump's contentious immigration policies. This included halting the new construction of a border wall and also proposing legislation to create a citizenship pathway for nearly 11 million people already living illegally in the United States. Poverty, violence and corruption in Mexico and the northern triangle of Central America, comprising of Guatemala, Honduras and El Salvador, has led people to seek a better life in the United States for several years. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of the crisis that is unfolding at the US-Mexico border, we are joined in by our correspondent Kate Fisher, who is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Kate, this of course is one of the biggest issues which Joe Biden will have to deal with over the course of the next few weeks and months. Bring us up to speed with how dire the situation actually is at the US-Mexico border in terms of the number of migrants who are trying to cross over.
Yeah, well, we are told that it's actually perhaps the largest number of migrants at the border than there has been for maybe 2 decades. There really is a surge in numbers. Whatever the Biden administration is saying or not saying, it does appear that a crisis of sorts is developing. We know that there are more than 4,000 children now on the US side of the border who have come across unaccompanied without adults, and it is the Biden administration's policy not to send them back since they have come over alone. That's a change from what happened under Donald Trump, and he was criticised by a lot of people on the left for doing that. Joe Biden promised that he wouldn't when he came if he won the presidency, and therefore he is not. He's allowing them to stay while their asylum claims are processed. The problem is there is so many of them that they are having to find new buildings for them. For example, large buildings in Texas and California where they can be housed while they're waiting for their asylum claims to be processed, and those are taking a lot longer than normal, up to 10 days or so. And these young boys and girls are being kept in these rudimentary facilities while this is happening. And at the same time, more and more immigrants are trying to cross the border. Joe Biden trying to get the message across that it is not open. It will be, he says, at some point. He just needs to have time for his administration to put in the infrastructure there so that they can handle this huge number of people.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, in the 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump at that time had made immigration possibly the biggest issue of his campaign. The Republicans have, of course, been criticizing Joe Biden for his policy on immigration. Is this an issue that the Republicans will be hoping is something that would actually resuscitate their political, aspirations over the course of the next few months in the US elections?
Yeah, it certainly is. I didn't quite catch all the question, but I think, it's certainly a big political issue. The Republicans are making a huge fuss about all of this. They see it as a way of trying to divert attention away from the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package that Joe Biden has just signed into law. He did so with great pomp and ceremony and celebrated that because it's very popular amongst the US population. What is happening on the border is an opportunity for the Republicans to divert attention away from something that the Biden administration is happy with and thinks it's doing well at, to put it on, to highlight an area where it's not doing so well and where there is a lot of criticism. It's such a polarizing issue in the United States, immigration, between people who think that the border should be open and that America should be helping anyone that needs it, and those people who want to keep that border shut and secure and don't want anyone from a foreign country coming in to work or live here. So that is a very polarizing issue. Republicans staunchly on one side, the Democrats, there is also an issue within the Democratic Party, the moderates like Joe Biden versus the much more left-wing progressives who don't think that Joe Biden is doing enough to help these people at the moment. So he's getting criticism from both sides.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Kate Fisher, for joining us and getting us all those insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.